I'm sad about that one, but of course, it's all because of the Call of Duty butt cheeks.
It is a lot. It is.
Yeah. All because everybody wants to shoot things, everybody cares.
Plus that DLC.
They're not bad.
Knights wielding everywhere.
Because of that actual genre now, first-person shooters are just the only thing you hear about now. So of course, like the only people that are actually doing it now is BioWare, Bethesda, and surprisingly, Atlas pumps them out like just candy.
Yeah. You got to believe Square Enix with Deus Ex.
You know, I don't know what Square Enix is. I know what Squaresoft and Enix is.
I do know Enix. I do know Squaresoft, but do not put chocolate and peanut butter together because then I will not recognize Reese's.
Well, that's a good analogy considering how it's just a train wreck waiting to happen.
So with Atlas, they do a lot of things other than the fighting games. They do like the Crimson Gem Saga. That was not a bad one until halfway in the game. Then you get your dick kicked in. It's like I've leveled up 10 times already.
Right.
Here's your dick.
Here you go, your own dick. We hand it to you.
It is definitely.
Especially Human Revolution.
I mean, like I said, of course, everybody already knows about the Shin Megami Tensei series.
The Persona,
especially Persona.
Yeah.
Oh God. Yeah, it's the fighting game.
Literally with Persona, I'm not a fan of it, but at least it's good.
At least
Persona 3 is my favorite out of all of them.
Yeah.
I
like the fighting game.
Due to the fact that
you like the fighting game, that's fine. I mean, because it's coming from RPG.
And all of that, but apparently the fighting game is canon with the actual RPG series, so you do have to.
What's canon?
What's canon?
Oh,
tell us.
it's like some sort of like firearm that you use. So
I think I saw that Attack on
It's a
Titan.
firearm that you use to shoot people you don't agree with.
in that case, I have a lot of canon for everyone. Yeah.
I'm saying that RPGs are dying hard. What was like your last decent console RPG that came out?
The last decent
well, that's
Final Fantasy X.
That's
like even the
well, no.
like give me something.
That was the last. He's getting us. He's getting us back. It's okay. That's okay.
In my honest opinion, actually, the last
it was
one,
a turn darkness.
in my honest opinion, it was Dreamcast. Dreamcast brought it. Yes.
Oh no, Sega was obviously.
Yeah, it's a system. It's still a game.
Anything that was Sega had an awesome RPG series on it.
PlayStation 2 was.
That one was good. He's all about that one.
What's the last best RPG to come out?
Yeah, you gotta remember once PlayStation 2 came in, they started doing more ports, if anything. The Sega was actually the original RPG for it, so that's totally fine.
So PS2 fans, you got this guy too. You're welcome. That's from us, the Sega fans.
Well,
Hey, Final Fantasy 9.
well, let's no, Nick, you wanted to talk.
Oh, yeah,
Speaking of Final Fantasy,
Then 10 happened.
everyone loves Final Fantasy. Every single game, should have an HD remake. In my opinion. Then you have movies like Spirits Within 2 needs to happen.
I agree.
Dirge of Cerberus.
Oh, load it.
All of them really. So we made our top 10 accordingly.
Yes.
Final Fantasy and another great game that you guys will see. That's coming out. I don't know what that game is.
What is 6?
You know what?
Sure.
It's I'm glad we're going to talk about that, but we're not doing that right now.
Fuck that, dude.
So we're going to keep moving on.
Okay.
All right.
The elements actually, when it comes to the actual, to the game's gameplay, I didn't care about graphics. I just want to know if it actually wanted me to make me sit down so I could play it for 8 hours while I'm on my day off.
8 hours.
Or maybe a week.
What a casual.
What a lightweight.
There are times I've been unemployed, I'm just like, alright, today's Tuesday.
Time to smell my own nut musk, buddy.
I'm just like, yeah, I can get
ball soup.
I can, play this game for 10 hours and not care. What's eating? I don't know what that is. I'm broken.
I have learned that.
Mom, someone made a mess of you.
Mom, bathroom.
When it came everything was kind of like the same thing, but there were some games that came in that actually had different types of games.
Exactly. Like an example, you got your Fantasy Stars that are a lot different from the Mana series, that are a lot different from, say, Brave Fencer Musashi, and even even Chrono Trigger, but again, more on that later on.
Oh yeah.
All I'm gonna say is if the game was, oh god, that makes me cry just thinking about that. But because when you have amazing gameplay, especially if the story's that good and the gameplay is amazing, it leads on straight to the story.
Yeah, and in certain games, evolve their combat system. Like you have basic turn-based, Final Failure, introduced, and then then you have strategy, and then you have I forgot what it was, a Tales game. But you know,
Tales Hour.
Yes, Tales Adventure.
well, I think it was Symphonia that like Nina Kuni also did. You know, it's like a freestyle like turn-based. You know, it was pretty good.
Well, speaking of the Tales series, apparently Tales Symphonia just got announced for a HD collection for the PS3. Yeah, I know, but I mean, I already have the game. But I mean, for those who've never actually enjoyed it,
yeah, you're gonna buy it. Buy it again like Sonic 1.
I'll get that.
Like Sonic 1, you just keep buying it over and over.
We bought it like, what, 4 times now?
This is my 21st time, actually.
No, that's a lot of money.
But it goes to Sonic, and it needs to go to Sonic.
Within these 3, actually,
Dreamcast broke. Dream is gone.
When you actually came with the gameplay and the story, actually, sometimes in the gameplay you want to beat this guy, but you couldn't beat the guy because it's part of the story. That would be a big part. I would say like Grandia 2. Melvis, I wanted to beat his Dickens so bad. I was like, I'm already at least level 30. I need to be at level 14 and just have half a damage to him. But I kept going to a point where he's like, you know what, I'm just going to game break the entire thing. So you can move on to the story. Because I know you want to beat me. So that's cool.
It's like any, I don't know if there's like old school Phantasy Star fans in here, but like, as I expected. Okay, cool. In Phantasy Star 3, the game that not many people liked in series, what was really heavy about it is that like each chapter was like a different generation of like people depending on who you married and the children that you have. You actually go. Actually, no, he's actually technically right. No, he's right about that because he's right, you know. But But like, because eventually you start like falling in love with these characters, and then it makes you want to go back and actually go through to see what if I actually married them, and then like. It's just like, oh, I kind of miss the other characters, and you just kind of, that's why you have like 3 different save files of that.
You know, greatest actual example of that is Fire Emblem, the new game that came out for 3DS, because apparently, if you marry and you have a family, those kids become whatever the strengths and weaknesses of the 2 characters, and I'm like, and then they join the party. I'm like, that's...
Like most Fire Emblems, like depending on who you interact with, like completely changes the story up. So.
Oh yeah. You can make Jeff Kurosaki.
Exactly.
Moving right along.
See, also, the length of time. Like I said, you know, after you're done with the game, you know you had secret bosses. You wondered, okay, these are secret bosses, but they're worse than the final boss. Why is that?
Yeah.
I never understood it at all. So I was just like, okay, after I'm done beating the game, let me just level up so I can beat these people. After about 33 attempts later, and a certain cry in the bed later.
After your dick kicked in.
So you beat him. You don't get
sounds about right.
You know, depending, unless you know how to do a strategy. I go on YouTube, I'm like, so that's how you do it? Because I didn't get anything out of that at all. It's just like, oh, you beat that guy. You know,
jump on YouTube to look at things. Let me tell you about getting angry at YouTube videos. Like I remember, like the first time, like me and a buddy of mine, like Brian actually.
Yes.
We were playing Zelda 2.
We know a lot of Brian.
We decided
That's Brian right there.
We decided to go back through Zelda 2 because we were like, you know, let me try beating this game because this game always pissed me off. I'm gonna beat it anyways.
It doesn't exist.
You know what? I made the mistake of going on YouTube to see an actual speedrun video. I did not know that you could just turn into a fairy and just go through keyholes in the game until 20 years later. To the point that made me want to chuck my DS across the room like...
I have a confession. When it comes to Fallout 3, I put hundreds of hours in that.
Yo.
Yeah. And I've had the game for about 5 years. It wasn't until last year I found out that there was a flashlight function. What?
This is on Wait. You did not know that the flashlight functions.
Yeah, the radio was the game.
Yeah. Bro, do you even have tutorial?
Because I was too busy running away from rad scorpions. Look, fuck.
In all fairness, those rats
Who cried during Broken Steel?
Cry?
Well, cry is a strong word. I
remember destroying the Citadel.
I wept.
No, I'm getting serious.
Wept.
Yeah, see,
like, ask this one right here. Like, anytime that I'm playing through Fallout and I see like this, I see one giant road just like, oh, this is gonna suck. Giant fire in it.
That's what I like about the game is that when you actually go over a cliff and you see like a whole bunch of enemies you just can't beat, it's just like, so what should I do? I just press pause and I'm just like, I'm gonna come back 30 minutes later and just like, I know that they'll give me experience. I know
Go in,
they'll give
guns
me good
a-blazing,
stuff.
Leroy Jenkins style.
Yeah, that's exactly what I do. I got my head chopped off. He wants to pull fast.
Oh yeah. Well, okay. So we'll just do twice. Okay. So the music. I'm not gonna lie. If you're in the actual thing, it's all about the music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry if I'm hearing a
The older
boring
stuff's
dialogue.
better.
I'm like, well, at least the music's
Yo,
good.
oh god, yeah.
Yeah, that's where it is. I'm just like, okay, skip. It's still going. Skip. And I'm just like, I'm not gonna lie. That's the reason why I would actually play some games, because the music would be so badass, even in the game.
So you just go to the options, you just change the sound effects to go off just to listen to the soundtrack.
But that would be Fallout 3. I like that. Playing Sonic 3
okay.
while over in the overworld and just shooting people like, I'm like, yeah.
Exactly.
Fucking super.
Yes!
We're really not going to get into the graphics because the graphics, like I said, it was the last thing on your mind.
Guys,
now that it has switched throughout the
graphics, come on.
Yeah,
Yeah, no.
try things.
That's not on there. It's like, oh, the graphics was great. I'm like, I don't care. If the gameplay is great, I'll play it. But if it's like last gen graphics, it's cool. I don't care about that either.
That's why 6 was the best game. They made a great game with stick figures.
Wow.
Just about.
Ooh.
But we're gonna go to honorable mentions before we actually go to our top 10.
Of course.
Combat, you know, our
You see the sequel episode.
Let's see.
That is-
yes.
Yeah.
Literally transform back into that whenever they get near World War.
Yeah.
Literally, no matter what state they're in, they turn back into that.
That's a Western RPG for
So it's like
RPG.
Insanity, True Insanity?
Yeah, it's like Tortani in reverse.
Exactly. So, you know, let's go into it actually. So,
Yes.
I'm just going to pull them out. Wow. You know, I can throw out the radio.
Which, like,
Ragnarok
okay.
2's coming out.
Okay. I have one complaint about Ragnarok 2.
I don't see Dragon Ball Online on there.
Damn you.
That's on mine.
Guys, we're an actual.
Well, I'm hearing people cheer for Ragnarok Online. I love Ragnarok Online. It was one of my first MMOs. Love Norse mythology, all about it. They should have kept they should have kept 2D. That top down was great the way it was.
Yeah.
And exactly. And so when I was
Yeah.
I heard about RO2 and I was like, I'm all about it. Let's do it. I want to see gameplay and everything. You know, how's it gonna look?
Just
It
re-released
looks
it.
awful. Like, I hate the way it looks.
Yeah.
Like, cool.
Good.
We should get a panel and talk about
Everybody
it.
knows.
It's been a while since stuff
Let's
like
see.
Frag, so.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it's so good.
But when it comes to World of Warcraft, actually, I think they got 2 more expansions and then they're just finally done with the entire thing. They're going
It's about time.
Our expert right here will know.
Yeah.
My grandkid
Yeah,
just
they've
finally had a
already
kid
done
too.
Pandaria.
Yeah.
Pandaria is
Still waiting forever.
still
Yeah,
coming out
right.
soon. The way Pandaria is going to end is, spoiler, we're going to kill Garrosh.
Oh shit, thanks.
Thank God.
Well, now never get into the series.
But that, like, the reason why it's an honorable mention is, the reason why most of these are honorable mentions is we didn't want to do MMOs. You know,
Yeah.
we want to do, you know, classics,
By
single
yourself,
player,
lonely forever.
you know,
They
no
have
girlfriend
that
combos.
Yep.
You
Yeah.
know, but World of Warcraft
Yeah.
still has leveling aspects. You know, the gameplay now is garbage, the way they do all the talent systems.
It's all about graphics now.
And,
Yeah.
and it's all, no, but I think what they're doing is they're getting rid of the hardcore players for their next project and just have, you know, devil may casuals, you know,
Of
play
course.
it. You know, so it's just like
Gotta pick a
basic
day.
math, I don't want to do that. You know, I want to play games. And so, but the story is amazing. You know, if you follow the story of WoW, it's great. You know, I have all of my Thrall books. You know, I have my Doomhammer in my room that I sleep with naked.
It's true. We've seen him do
slept with the hammer
it.
naked.
We walked in on him doing that once.
Never again.
It's a beautiful moment. You know, I call
This guy does it every day.
I call my
But,
penis Doomhammer.
And here I thought I
We're
was
going
the
to talk
only
about
one.
the Shining Force series. Unfortunately, I do not know much about it, but he does.
Oh, as a Sega fan, I have to get into everything Sega. Exactly. Oh, cool. We got a Shining Force fan over here. All right.
That
I like this.
only other one person.
Welcome.
Dude, come on, man.
You know, you're in the demographic.
What's up?
I'm right.
Exactly. Like,
Right.
I mean, personally, like one of the main reasons, like, you know, I mean, SNES and Nintendo, they have their Final Fantasy, they have their Dragon Quest. Meanwhile, oh,
Thanks,
man,
Chozo.
thank you, Chozo.
Thanks.
Thanks, bro. But on the Sega, there were hardly any RPGs that people were like, yo, I can talk about this and that. But anyone who played the Shining series can tell you that there was a special kind of RPG love with that, especially like the way that it. You could say that it kind of had like a Fire Emblem style story to it. And like later on in the series, like, especially like the Sega Saturn, like one of my personal favorites is Shining Force 3, which came out at the same time as Shining on the Holy Ark, which was like completely different like direction to it, as well as Shining Wisdom, which they kind of went old school with, and that was like one of the last games they did for the Saturn until
The Shiny Finger came out, right?
And of course, the Shining Finger, of course.
We're doing this.
But like another thing about it is like when it jumped to the PS2 era, well, and the GBA era, something was kind of weird about it. First, they got a different developer. Like the GBA games weren't so bad, but the PS2
They weren't good either.
like Shining Force EXA series. I mean, people are like, dude, it's more anime-ish. You can like get right down to it. Like, it was more animation in the sense that it reminded you of like generic Beyblade knockoff.
Hell
yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, exactly. Like, if you have a character who's got like 3 different sets of goggles, more so than me, even I think that's just pathetic. But the battle system was a typical like turn-based, but they actually, which actually was heavy emphasis on the magic system on it.
Let's see, who's the Beyond Oasis person?
Anyone here actually played Beyond Oasis? Oh my god, I am showing how much of a loser I was.
That's that Arabian and Aladdin looking game.
Yes! Basically, okay, I'm not the only one then, okay? Because, like, whereas Super NES got, like, Link to the Past, Sega had Jack Diddley shit. So, we thought, what if the same people who did Streets of Rage made an RPG with a battle system kind of like Streets of Rage? So it's like a top-down Streets of Rage with the same composer, Yuzo Kochino.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, they use the same sound effects for like when you're picking up an apple, it makes the same sound effect from Streets of Rage. Like,
Thanks for remembering.
yeah, I work with sound effects in games sometimes, dude. But, and it was actually pretty cool. Like, the story wasn't really anything to write home about, but it looked pretty. The cutscenes did look pretty, and there was a rare.
Matters.
Of course, the cutscenes always matter in a video game.
During that time.
But like,
Gotta talk about the graphics.
No.
but no, there was a rare sequel that hardly. I don't even think it did come out over here in America. There was Beyond Oasis, and there was Legend of Oasis, which was actually done by a different team. It, again, like most sequels that way after like 7 years to make, it was okay, but you just go back to the Genesis version of it, which it's on the Sonic Genesis Classics collection on the PS3 and 360.
Nice.
So.
But we're going to move on to Phantasy Star now. We can talk about this one all day. We can
Oh my
actually make a
God.
panel about it. So that's why we're going to cut this one really
Next
long.
Yeah.
Like this.
It's Phantasy Star. Play it.
This game
Next.
has made you rage. I don't care what anybody says about Demon Souls or Dark Souls. It's like, it's so bad that when you die, your stuff stays there and you have to go back. I'm like,
Oh,
is that right?
You mean like Diablo 1?
Screw that. Dude, what sucks is when you're online and you get your shit kicked in, 3 of your other friends steal your shit and don't even care about what happens to you.
Is that the guys who are like,
Black card.
and they can be levels beyond you. If you die,
This guy right here.
you're running on net zero
Tyrone.
56K bullcrap. They're not going to tell you, hey man, we'll leave your stuff here. You'll be cool. We're going to take care of
Don't worry. We'll take
Has he logged off yet?
No.
Take a shit.
Take it. I come back and I'm like,
guy.
where's the stuff? I had like 5,000
Man, remember that sword
What
that
the
I really
hell?
liked that you had?
Oh, dude, remember that badass 9999 walk that you had? Not anymore.
Yeah, the mags. I think the reason why we got into this
Everyone's a
war
rogue now.
of like anything like Sonic Adventure, stuff like that, they always had chows and then they have mags. I spent most of my high school time just like,
Well,
hey,
actually,
what am I gonna do with my mags? Can I feed this? Can I feed my child this?
Right here.
It was better than algebra, so I'm just like, yo, okay, whatever, mathematics. I'm doing mathematics.
Well, funny
for my-
enough, Fantasy Star Online was done by Sonic Team, which,
Oh, yeah,
funny
yeah.
enough, the original Genesis version, like, the original Master System version actually was done by Yuji Naka and like 2 other people who 2 years later go make Sonic the Hedgehog.
There you go.
So when I heard that Fantasy Star Online was being done by Sonic Team, I'm like, time repeats itself.
Yeah, time to get down with chow.
Yeah, I mean honestly, I bought Fantasy Star Online just for the Sonic Adventure 2 demo. Turned out to be a pretty good game too. So hey.
Let's see. Well, let's go on. Oh, and Diablo. I forgot about that.
Well, Diablo, you know,
Diablo.
it's the reason why we put Diablo in there is because of the looting system. Someone dies, all the shit's still there. You know, in Diablo, it's just like, oh fuck, I died, and now I have to fucking run to 6 different levels in the same dungeon. Oh, by the way, and with Diablo just sitting there teabagging my corpse, I have to quickly pick up everything, equip it while he's sucking my shit.
Enigma.
Is that what it is?
Dilemma, that's what it is.
It is a dilemma.
But
No,
let's
the armor Enigma.
we're gonna move to the top 10. I mean, that's because Diablo.
That's all you were waiting for, guys.
Diablo is just
top
We're gonna
10.
move to top
This
10.
one.
Our wonderful top 10 that we worked so hard on.
We carefully planned and handpicked each one with you guys in mind.
I'm sorry, I can't be serious with this.
Dirge Cerberus sadly is not an RPG.
Sorry, guys.
It would have been my 1 through 10.
What about Vandalheart?
Do they all start with the Final Fantasy?
Almost.
Do they all start with Final?
Oh, there you go.
We're gonna breeze through it because we got more to show. But no, seriously, Final Fantasy 10 was one.
Oh man, that was a great game.
Then we got
Bobby Man was awesome. That game was awesome.
Fucking love it.
Final Fantasy 7, oh my god, this is the greatest game of all time. Oh shit.
Won all 3 times.
Oh my god.
And then the one that saved the entire series.
Dude, this. Fable 3 saved the series. Hallelujah. Yes. Yeah. But it saved Final Fantasy. That's all that matters. Final Fantasy 5 was the greatest game of all time. Again. Final Fantasy 4 was also the greatest game of all time. Again.
Oh god.
So, you know what? It's not even top 10. It's all top 1.
Dude, if you don't play Final Fantasy 3, you're an idiot. I hate you.
I thought it was 6.
3 or 6.
Yes.
Yes.
And then we also have Final Fantasy Vanilla.
The greatest game of all time, my original character, Vanilla.
Honest opinion, we didn't care about Final Fantasy that much.
Yeah.
Because we're like, it was nice.
I don't know
but
if you got
it
that by
didn't change much.
In case you didn't realize.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna lie, if anybody's butt hurt, then this is a message for you right now.
Take it to the sweet spot.
I love it. It's my most hated character.
They're like, why is it just top 10? Well, you can do.
Well, okay. Top 10
They're
crap.
very slow moving.
All right, we'll go with that one. So if anybody else is butt hurt about
We got
it.
canceled for a reason.
So now that we got that out of the way, it got some sense like,
Quick question. Why is it called Final Fantasy?
well, actually, the company was going out of business.
Well, let me
So
tell
the
you.
last game that they actually had
Well,
was
you
Final
see-
Fantasy. That was going to be a bad one, but it's like.
But hey, eventually they'll at least go on and make Parasite Eve, and that was actually good.
Secret of Mana.
Until they
Yes.
get more.
Second, that's Wait, what about Third Birthday?
It was alright.
It's okay, but it's not as good as the 4th one.
Oh my god.
So let's move on because I'm tired of looking at this.
I noticed that 6 and Tactics were not on that list.
We're gonna go
They're
to the real
reason
top
for
four.
it.
Not gonna lie.
I guess Mass Effect 1 is on there, huh?
Mass Effect 1, of course.
Greatest RPG of all time.
No.
Great RPG or greatest RPG?
Great.
So let's go to the first.
Alright.
On that one. Final Fantasy.
You want to do tactics, Sound and Fire Emblem?
You know what, let's do a bit of both.
Alright. Why
cool.
don't you start with tactics?
Let's start with Tactics. Oh my gosh. Like, and this was after, like, what, Final Fantasy 7 just came out? I'm looking for an actual strategy RPG that not only emphasized on a lot of the story, but there was a lot of class building right there. And just, like, each character, you literally had, like, what, like 20 different, like...
A fuck ton. That's
You know, that's a better number. You know, a bigger
metric
number.
system.
A metro fuck ton, you know, a bigger
had
number. And just the way even each battle was like the most strategy-based RPGs battles were kind of drag on. This one you never got bored of. You just kept wondering, we're going to place him right there. Okay, this is a smart idea.
Yep.
And then the opposing team would just come over there like, shit.
It's like, this is not chess. What are you doing?
Oh, by the way, reinforcements. Fuck!
Oh, great!
Yes. Archer's sitting here with his thumb up his ass. He has to fucking attack from 2 meters away. But nope, this guy just magically appeared up his ass.
Quick, manually pick him. Manually pick him. Ah, too late.
Oh, too late, he's dead. Oh wait, and now this was Fire Emblem, which they introduced permadeath, and by permadeath, I don't mean, oh, by the way, it's a cutscene. He can't be revived.
Oh, Blarg, I'm dead.
Game Final Fantasy 7. But
Did there
like
ever
the
be
crystals.
multiplayer tactics?
Oh, multiplayer tactics?
I think they did, and I think it was actually at the World Alliance, which was on PSP.
And
Yeah.
also,
they did
It was
do a game.
action.
It was
I
called
owned that
Tactics
shit. It was
Gameplay.
action.
That's
No,
what I'm
not
saying,
bad.
that these all need is a
Multiplayer, yeah.
You can literally take your team and verse somebody else's team.
They did something
Oh,
similar.
that'd be friend. That'd be the real friend breaker.
No, Dad, you see, what you're trying to say is we don't want friends anymore. That kills
It's
it.
like, what are you doing? What are you doing? It's like, I'm not going to play Magic with you anytime soon. But
See, exactly.
I got nothing but Dark Knights. They tell you about them.
Army of Assassins, that's all you need.
This guy.
Dark Knights.
There's
But I
some
do-
things I want to hit on. The
yeah.
Final Fantasy Tactics. What I think this really developed is a deeper storyline as well as like a surface storyline.
I agree.
Like, you could go through the game, and there was the Ramza and Delita that you could just play through, but there was the whole deeper
Or main characters.
real family that you could see.
I had Jen Kurosaki in my team.
Going into this, as well with Final Fantasy Tactics. If you're
So you want
interested,
that.
there's a harder version called Final Fantasy Tactics or Tactics 1.3.
Oh yeah.
Incredibly difficult if you're interested.
Oh no, I'm
They
definitely
just
gonna
came
get
out
it.
with a mod. It's Final Fantasy Tactics, but you play with Dante, Snake, and a bunch of
I gotta download this. I have to
And
download
Snake actually has
this
the move called
I was actually the
Smoke
one who made it.
Oh, you're the one, of course.
It's a mod that just
Well then, sure, thank you.
Well,
Thank
talking
you.
about permadeath, trust me,
Sonic
if we
and Tails
could
are
sit
DLC.
here for 2 hours, I'd love to, and we could just keep going. But we gotta keep moving on.
Characters
So-
that die and everything.
Final Fantasy Tactics panel.
I mean, it goes to the next
Sure.
game, actually. Sure. So we get into because the one I liked about this game is that when I got the new game, I was like, all right, cool, I can't wait. Gonna get new characters. It's like, hey man, did you like Suikoden into one? I'm like, yeah. It's like, guess what? You can port them. I'm like, oh god. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Totally.
You have to pay for them?
Yes, no, you can actually port it from the first game, and
Oh,
also
shit.
from PlayStation
DLC
2.
on the PS1.
Even though it's Suikoden 3,
This game was so
whatever you
bad
had
now.
in the previous games,
Right.
you were able
One
to
extra
port into that
character?
game. And I'm like,
$1
even though it was
character.
next gen, it's fucking amazing. I loved it. I'm not gonna lie, when it came to the characters, I didn't get even half of them.
It's 108 characters.
100.
Yeah.
All you really need is like young Kyoku Tsunade over here.
What do you mean, young son Goku Kusanagi?
There you go.
No. Like what I liked about it was like it was so many characters. You find people. It's like, hey man, we're talking about something cool. We're friends, right? You know, I'm gonna join your battle. What? I got a character. When did that happen? That's cool. Whatever. I mean, that's.
Well, you don't learn that until you're actually battling.
Yeah.
And then you're like, when the hell have they joined me? And you're just like, exactly. Hey man, together we ride. That is a Fire Emblem section right
Because
there.
with the permadeath comment,
That was one of my
actually, this
parents'
game also
Exactly.
implemented that too. If your characters died in here, that's it.
Yeah.
You never get them back ever again.
Hey man, you die in the game, you die in real life.
But what
YOLO.
The original YOLO.
The best thing is duels and massive battles. The
Yeah.
reason why I say this, actually, I wish I was able to find a video, but you know, UCF, it's whatever, internet. But the fact is, the duels, it was like a rock paper scissors kind of thing. So it was a 1-by-1. So it's like, okay, you got this bad guy,
Yeah.
you got to defeat. Can't beat him. It's whatever. Game over. Start
So
over
Terror
again.
Life 4, but actually fun.
But you also got the massive battles, which depending on the characters that you get, that was the quantity that they gave you for the actual mass war that you came out. It's kind of like 1 versus 1,000, just
Yeah.
an RPG kind of.
Exactly.
So you'll have like these arrows and everybody's doing massive attacks. And it's like, okay, it's actually working depending on their actual song. Was it? Their tune core. Like
Yeah.
if their defense is high, then of course you won't lose as many.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that.
Basically,
So-
an offense makes a better defense. Just saying.
That is true. Very true in this
If
game.
you keep punching them in the face, they can't see you to punch back.
That's what I'm saying. That's because they keep blocking my face.
Then we're gonna go.
Yes.
Yeah.
This guy right here.
I'm